Fracture prints your digital photos directly onto glass, making your favorite moments come alive in vivid color. Hand-assembled in the USA, Fracture glass prints are a unique and beautiful way to display and share your favorite moments. Simply upload your photo at fractureme.com, select your size, and your glass print will be shipped to you, ready to hang with just one screw. Use code POD15 to get 15% off your order today. That's code POD15 at fractureme.com.
This is The Fan.
As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a gangster.
And boom! You like that? You like that? No, senor!
So that would be an L for today.
Let's go. Let's go, everybody. Let's go. Good morning.
9 to noon.
Personal foul.
PA.
Just listen. Just listen.
Time for two more. Good stuff.
Talker Tuesday. It is the 9 to noon radio show at FM 100.3 KFAN. Good morning, Rube Nation.
Come on now, wake up.
Allen, 651 Carpet Studio, Talker Tuesday time. The Spinners will be the music of choice today. The Spinners from the fighting city of Philadelphia. Could it be we are falling in love or have fallen in love with a red-hot hockey team?
Rask working it back. Here's Fiala. Fiala down low in front. Kaprizov shoots and scores. Kaprizov for Minnesota. Another power play goal for the Wild, and they lead him 1-0.
Whooped that Yotes butt again, didn't we? Minnesota Wild whooping up on those Yotes. And our Beasts will stomp on the creeping things tomorrow night, too. Because that's what we do. We beat bad teams, and we annihilate teams like the Arizona Coyotes. I mean, just smacking these bad teams, whether it's straight up or on the puck line.
Billy G's team, they did cover. Billy G's team, they did cover.
The Russian rookie, Kirill Kaprizov, the greatest rookie in the history of Minnesota Wild hockey.
Fire away.
That's what he does. He fires away. Kirill Kaprizov has tied Marian Gaborik for the most goals by a rookie in the history of our professional state of hockey team. And he passed Marian Gaborik for the most points for a rookie. And he's compensated by us. Billy G's team got the cover. We got Kirill Kaprizov on our squad. And we're whooping those creeping things, those tumbleweeds of hockey on a game-by-game-by-game-by-game-by-game basis. How can you not love Kirill Kaprizov? I mean, is it understated? Is it overstated? Has he become so tenacious and so crafty and so good that we just expect greatness from the man who will be the National Hockey League's Rookie of the Year? In the same town, we have a man playing for a bad basketball team who will be the NBA's Rookie of the Year. In a town, we have a game-changing wide receiver. He's JJ, who could have been Rookie of the Year, but he lost by a nose to the LA Chargers quarterback right at the wire. Herbert, JJ, Herbert, JJ, surging, and Herbert wins by a nose, you biatch. The A topic from last night, in the estimation of yours truly, Kevin Fiala bounced back from a Saturday benching. How with that Fiala? Right. That's the A topic, man, but now it's got 12 to go. So those of the analytical variety, the puckheads, hockey's version of the seamheads, they are going to take the analytics and what they hear, see, read, or know about the teams the Minnesota Wild is beating and quantify it to see if it's quite possible we can beat the beasts like the Colorado Avalanche and some of the best teams in the National Hockey League. 9 to noon, couldn't care less what the seemingly impenetrable Colorado Avalanche is doing right now. What we are doing is cultivating greatness in Kirill Kaprizov, the Eriksson Ek line, and Kevin Fiala. The cultivation of greatness right before our very ears at FM 100.3 KFAN. Happy for Kevin Fiala, turnover machine. Evison, with one of his favorite lines, undoubtedly looked at him on a Saturday and said, "What was the read?" When Fiala had no answer, benched, 11 minutes, benched. Starts the third period. We beat a bad team, the San Jose Sharks. Greenway with a goal last night with a spectacular pass from Marcus Foligno. It was just boom, boom, pass off the board. There's Foligno, gets shifty to the left. Greenway finds a spot, and Darcy Kemper was ruined, as he was multiple times last evening.
Going down. It's Darcy Kemper.
Darcy Kemper! So, the voice of Eric Nordquist, producer of 9 to Noon, good morning.
Good morning.
The National Football League draft is 9 days from today. And, 9 to Noon has a tendency to focus on NFL draft-related topics and NFL draft-related scenarios as they pertain to the purple and gold. Pick number 14. Man, I cannot remember the last time I was as perplexed facing a mental conundrum, some would say an inner kerfuffle, with Miami Hurricanes defensive end Jalen Phillips. I mean, like 3 weeks ago, if you were listening closely, I kind of stamped him as a guy I want on the team of 14. I mean, it's like, how could you not want him off what you saw with the Canes last year? Badass for profit for the Minnesota Vikings in 2021 if they move on him at 14 or thereabouts. University of Miami defensive end fits perfectly with what they want to do here. Jalen Phillips is the name, but at times turmoil is the game. Multiple concussions. Potentially chronically bad wrist. Broke a wrist. And it's like the insiders off medical checks and intel and pro days and stuff like that. There's a mild concern that a wrist for a defensive end who gets down into the grass or the dirt or the turf, as they say in the business, and puts weight on that wrist. Uses the wrist for the swim moves and the moves the defensive ends make. I mean, if it's a potentially chronic wrist problem, my God, how do you not look past that? So as the deep diving on 14 continues for yours truly, when I get to Jalen Phillips, those who follow it closely and care about 14 and make their they make their predictions public via social media, and they want to be right because they want to be right, and they care. They most likely know there were multiple concussions on the past performances of this game changer, Jalen Phillips. They probably have read about the chronic wrist. The most recent thing I read about Jalen Phillips that has been, it has raised your eyebrows and raised my eyebrow. His UCLA coach, Jim Mora Jr., he said Phillips' transfer from UCLA had nothing to do with concussions or a bad wrist.
Oh my gosh.
But he didn't elaborate.
Oh my gosh. Above average at that.
That bugs me. The wrist bugs me. The concussions bug me. Oh, and he threatened to quit football. So he took a year off. I mean, just threatened to quit. I'm going to retire. His father is a music professor or a dean, or he runs the music department at UCLA, at University of California at Los Angeles and Brentwood.
Didn't he work in somebody's law office as well?
Well,
he did an internship somewhere.
His father is an incredibly accomplished musician. So he wanted to go down the road of music, which is okay, but God gifted him with skills to play football at the very highest level. But for whatever the reason, our guy, Jalen Phillips, was like, I think I'm going to retire and just quit football.
Oh my God.
What? And his UCLA coach, Jim Mora Jr., says the transfer had nothing to do with injury. And he killed it last year for the Canes. And we are a defensive end short. Quiddy pay, though. All right? So now you get into the minutia with the teams and those who analyze for profit, the general managers, the scouts, everybody involved, coaches, intel, certified athletic trainers. Now the balancing act. If you want a defensive end at 14, who fits better and why? Quiddy pay, though, or Jalen Phillips? So then with the Michigander, with the Wolverine, when you watch him play, as you can with Wide 9 Entertainment, YouTube, Nacho Libre, I mean, you see some Everson Griffin in him with the spin moves and the energy and the relentless nature, but you see Jalen Phillips and you just see a creature, this monster with the long arms, who's unbelievably unstoppable. But the concussions and the potentially chronic wrist and the UCLA coach being covert with the, he left UCLA, not necessarily because of the injuries or the playing time. He just left. And that's it. It's just football's version of outer darkness. I am so freaking mentally messed up with this defensive end right now, I might have to take tomorrow off. Just so I can get all squared away on Jalen Phillips, the 14th overall pick, which offensive linemen are going to go where and why, and what if Mac Jones is available at 14? My God.
Oh my gosh. Above average at that.
It's not a draft, it's a therapy session. But the beauty of it is, we have 9 days to get ready for said therapy.
Fracture prints your digital photos directly onto glass, making your favorite moments come alive in vivid color. Hand assembled in the USA, Fracture glass prints are a unique and beautiful way to display and share your favorite moments. Simply upload your photo at fractureme.com, select your size, and your glass print will be shipped to you, ready to hang with just one screw. Use code POD15 to get 15% off your order today. That's code POD15 at fractureme.com.
Do you know what's number one in Texas? If you have both Medicaid and Medicare, it's United Healthcare Dual Complete. With Dual Complete, you could get credits to buy over-the-counter health products at no cost. Dual Complete also includes dental coverage, transportation assistance, and much, much more. See why more Texans with Medicaid and Medicare choose United Healthcare Dual Complete. Call 1-855-633-4205. That's 1-855-633-4205. Based on Texas market share as of 2021.
This is The Fan.
Madison, the tailback, offset eye left behind Cousins. Thielen stands up to the right. Kirk facing a blitz, hit as he throws. Back of the end zone! One-handed catch, Rudolph! No yes! Way. Touchdown! A one-handed, left-handed grab by Kyle Rudolph, and the Minnesota Vikings lead 30-25. Paul Allen, what's going on, big boy? How you been?
I'm doing well, PA. How are you?
Pretty well, man. Thanks for joining this Talker Tuesday. Kyle, of course, is one of the most accomplished tight ends in Vikings history, and absolutely at the top of the heap with his wife Jordan and his family when it comes to giving extravagantly, giving from the heart, and helping others throughout the upper Midwest. Are things well with you, man, with the voluntary part of the off season coming up? And you know, you got a different coach for the first time and a different organization with the New York Giants. Is it settling in, or are you ready for the off season?
Yeah, for me, things certainly didn't quite go as planned. When I agreed to terms with the Giants, as you know, in this business, everything's always pending a physical, but that physical is usually just dot your I's and cross your T's, because there's really not a whole lot going on in the middle of March physically with us. And I went to New York and took my physical and found out I needed foot surgery. So thankfully, I'm able to have that surgery back in March. It wasn't something that caused any red flags on their end, and I was able to become a New York Giant. I came back here, had the wonderful Dr. Coetzee at TCO fix my foot up, and now I'm just on the road to recovery. And yesterday was our first day of the voluntary off-season program with virtual meetings, and now it's starting to seem real, because from, the point I went to New York and signed my contract and then came home, aside from swapping out a lot of our Vikings gear for New York Giants gear and making sure the kids are all decked out in red, white, and blue now, and we put their put their purple and gold away for a little while. That was all that kind of changed. We obviously still live here. I'm still around town. I go to the same place that I've gone to for rehab my whole career. So nothing really changed until, yesterday I hop on the computer for the first time, and, it's not Coach Zim in the team meeting. And so it was good. I'm extremely excited for this new opportunity. Obviously, I said it in my letter to Minnesota, and it's something that I truly mean, that this will forever be home for us. We'll be back here in the off season. Our kids will still go to school here, and this is always going to be home for us. So we're still here, and, I guess one of the good things about a virtual off season is I get to be here.
Right. And you got the foot. So first, when you were saying we got the kids all adorned in Giants red, white, and blue, I've got to admit that cut a little bit. I mean, probably not as much as it cut when you learned you weren't going to be retained here. But then when you were like, we had to exchange the green you meant purple and gold. Does that mean like Green Bay was sniffing around you in free agency, and you thought you were going to be catching some passes from your golfing friend 12?
No, green and gold is Notre Dame, so we have a lot of green and gold still. That's where the green and gold came from. It would have been really hard for me to do that. Certainly, going to New York is extremely exciting. Maybe we'll come here in January. Maybe you guys will come to us in January. Who knows? But, as of right now, the 17 games, we're not slated to play one another. But I certainly hope if we do play in January, maybe I can get another one of those touchdown calls for a opposing player, and then you can go back to being mad that the visiting team scored.
You, my friend, as usual, are the very best. Kyle Rudolph, former Vikings tight end, now jumps into virtual offseason yesterday, and he's like, "Holy cow, that's Daniel Jones! Wow, that's Saquon Barkley." I mean, how about the play action to Big Boy from Jones off Saquon Barkley? That might be nice.
Like I said, I'm extremely excited. And, when I had the opportunity in free agency to talk to Joe Judge and Jason Garrett, the offensive coordinator, and, for me, it was all about fit at this point in my career. It didn't make sense to me to go to a place where I didn't feel like I fit in perfectly. And, I played for Coach Weiss at Notre Dame. Obviously he's a Bill Belichick disciple. Coach Zimmer is a Bill Parcells disciple. There's a lot of similar principles in the way that Coach Joe Judge runs the organization. And, doing your job, accountability, responsibility, all the messages that he's pushing out to a young team are what I've lived by for the last 13 years of my football career. And I just felt like it was a great opportunity, a great fit for me. And then you look at how our roster has kind of shaken out, especially on the offensive side of the ball. You mentioned Daniel Jones, Saquon Barkley, adding a Kenny Galladay in free agency, an extremely talented tight end in Evan Ingram, Sterling Shepard, Darius Slayton. The weapons on offense are endless. So it'll be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it. Like I said, at this point in my career, it had to be a perfect fit, and I certainly feel like New York is a perfect fit.
How much do you buy the 82 from tight end Caden Smith?
You know what? I didn't even try to get it. 82 is going to stay here in purple and gold. I'm not going to switch the 82 over to the red, white, and blue. I'm going to don 80 like the great Jeremy Shockey did for a long time in New York, and see if I can't replicate some of the things he used to do back in the day on the field.
What, seriously though, what do you know about quarterback Daniel Jones? I mean, I'm not saying that you're spending February and March or whatever going all 22 on the man they call Danny Dimes, but I bet you've gone peeking at him a little bit to see what he likes to do.
You know what? I remember and playing those guys early in his career. I think he had started maybe 2 or 3 games prior. He won his first 2 starts. I think we played him week 5, and I'm almost positive he had started the 2 weeks prior, won both games, and they got back to 2-2. I'm pretty sure we were 2-2 at the time. And I just remember guys like Harrison Smith, Everson Griffin, the leaders of our defense after the game being like, that kid's a stud. He's a baller. And now I've been able to kind of watch him from afar over the last year and a half. Certainly, I watched a lot of their cut-ups and film when I joined the team the last month and a half. And, I'm excited about him. He's extremely talented. He's a great kid. Got to talk to him over the phone a few times since I signed in New York, and he wants to be great. He wants to do the things that it takes to be good in this league. And so I'm extremely excited to get up there. And I didn't realize how young he is. I'm talking to him, trying to get to know him like he's a guy in his mid to late 20s. And here he is, 23 years old. Lord knows what I was doing at 23. I'm just running around snagging balls from Christian Ponder and not a care in the world. And, this guy's the quarterback of the New York Giants. So, extremely young, but extremely driven, and I'm excited about the opportunity to play with him.
Kyle, you mentioned Jason Garrett, offensive coordinator for the Giants. When you first chatted with him, was one of the first things he said, hey, in 2019 Sunday Night Football, we probably could have done without that one-handed alley-oop that got us beat down in Big D.
Yeah, he didn't mention that I scored against them 3 times that night. But one thing he did mention was the success that he had with a different number 82 in Dallas for about 13 years, and that certainly played into the fit. Obviously Jason Witten, that is, was a guy who played at an extremely high level for a long time, and he's been a guy that I've leaned on as a mentor throughout my entire career. So to now play in that system, play in that offense, I certainly would never set the expectations of Jason Witten, who's a first ballot Hall of Famer. But again, it's extremely exciting for me to have an opportunity to try to fill that role in this offense.
Did it, when you were informed it was over here and you would not be retained, did it hurt when you were told it was over?
You know what? It's never easy. And certainly everyone, when you've been in this game for a decade, you understand that the business side of it sucks. And, I certainly wished I could have played my entire career here and never left. But when you want to play as long as I want to play, I certainly feel like I have a lot of really good football left. And, the end is not in sight for me. It's just not likely that you're going to be able to spend 15, 16, 17 years in one place. So it's the old saying, like, just rip the Band-Aid off. So, it was maybe going to happen at some point. Like I said, I feel like I have a lot of really good football left. I'm extremely excited for the opportunity to get to New York. I have nothing but love, admiration, respect for everyone in that building, everyone down in Eagan, everyone in the state of Minnesota. There's no hard feelings. I wouldn't be staying here if I had hard feelings, because I'd probably be a little bitter. But with that being said, it's a business, and I understand the business. There's some unfortunate circumstances with the salary cap going down. So I get it. I understand. And, like I said, it doesn't change the way I feel about anyone in that building, or anyone involved in that organization.
What was your relationship like with Kirk Cousins?
Kirk and I had a great relationship. I felt like, Kirk knew that he had someone in myself that he could always lean on, for, advice in situations throughout the course of games, maybe a tough situation in practice, in the locker room, our lockers, they were next to each other. And then when we socially distanced last year, they were one apart from each other. So our lockers were right next to each other every day. And, Kirk and I had a great relationship. I have nothing but respect for Kirk and the success that he's had. I was very adamant over the 3 years that we played together and taking his defense when, maybe more of the blame was placed on him than should have been. I'm a firm believer in football is a game that requires all 11 people to go out there and play together and play at a high level to win games. And, certainly the quarterbacks making the money that they're making in today's game will get too much blame when things don't go well, and they'll also get too much credit at times when things do go well. That's just the nature of the business. But, I wish we could have done more too, because I saw how, each and every time we went and accomplished something as an offense and as a team that Kirk hadn't done, whether it be, winning big games, winning primetime games on the road, winning Monday night games, all the narratives that, the outside world painted against Kirk, Each time we were able to go and accomplish that. And, the one moment that sticks out to me over our 3 years together was the playoff game in New Orleans. The huge throw to Adam to get us down inside the 5-yard line. And then obviously the adjustment on the third down, getting out of the draw, throwing the fade, and ending the game, not letting Drew and their offense come on the field. Those are things that stick out to me that I'll remember forever. Like I said, I have nothing but love and respect for Kirk and everyone else that's in that locker room. That, to me, that was the hardest part about leaving, is the people. Those are my teammates. Those are people that I had been with for 10 years. I'm certainly excited about having new teammates. I have to learn a lot of new names in an organization. It took me 10 years to learn everybody's name in the building, and now I feel like I'm going to need a cheat sheet walking around over there in New Jersey because I got to relearn a bunch of people's names.
Kyle Rudolph.
Time for two more.
You guys are at the Saints next season. Do you like beating the Saints as much as Vikings fans enjoy when the Saints lose?
I like beating everybody. I think I would say that I hate losing as much as Vikings fans like seeing the Saints lose. So, for me, I'm sure I won't get a very warm welcome because, this year, obviously there were no fans when we went to New Orleans and I was hurt on Christmas Day. So I did not go down to New Orleans, but I'd imagine I won't get a very warm welcome going back to New Orleans next year when the Superdome is rocking, hopefully full of fans. But at the same time, for me, I think I'm one of those people that hates losing more than I enjoy winning, and that's in everything in life, whether it's to, my daughters in putt-putt or to, buddies on the golf course. I've never been a good loser, so that's kind of always motivated me to want to go out and win.
Uncle Jimmy Pessis, owner of Continental Diamond, just informed me the door is open for you anytime you need anything, even if you're donning the red, white, and blue of the Big Blue Wrecking Crew. You're always welcome to stop by Continental Diamond.
Oh, those guys are the best. Jimmy and Helena have taken such great care of us, and trust me, my wife knows exactly where they're at, and she doesn't hesitate to stop in and see them quite frequently. So, like I said, those guys are the best over there, and they've taken such great care of us over the 10 years that we've been here. And again, it's about the people for me, and the people of this community, the people of the Vikings organization are what we'll miss most while we spend half of the year in New Jersey. But at the same time, I've always been a glass half full kind of a guy, and it gives us an opportunity to hopefully have a fraction of the impact that we've had on this community here on the New Jersey and the New York City community. Get to know people up there and hopefully build a lot of the relationships that we've built here, all while coming back here when it's all said and done.
You, my friend, are going to kick ass with the Duke kid at quarterback. I will be pulling for you from afar. Thanks very much for the time, Kyle. Safe travels. Get that foot right, and let's stay in touch, all right?
Thanks, PA. I appreciate it. Always good to talk to you.
Likewise. See you, bud.
See ya.
Kyle Rudolph, former Minnesota Vikings tight end. 9:39. It's not.
The Fan.
The walk to pick 14 for the Minnesota Vikings continues today. It's 9:48. Welcome back. It's Paul Allen. Evan Silva, a draft aficionado with EstablishTheRun.com. Love that website. He was going to join this segment, but now in truncated fashion, we're going to hit the Jets and the Niners the next couple of segments, walking up to 14. So Mr. Silva has been moved to about 25 minutes from now. I think you'll enjoy his repartee and his conversation about the National Football League draft. That takes place at 10:20.
Absolutely. Yesterday, chronicling the Jacksonville Jaguars and Trevor Lawrence. Pick 2 takes us to the big city, the bright lights, and James Morgan. Florida International darling James Morgan happens to be the highest quarterback on the current depth chart for the Jets. Mm-hmm. And it feels like after the departure of Sam Darnold that they may be looking to change that, even though the kid from Ashwaubenon, the kid from Green Bay, the FIU with the giant arm, let's not completely write his career off, unless, according to this PA, as we look at the second overall pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, is it just that it's the Jets and everyone is screwed because it's the Jets? So I'm taking you out west. BYU, are you familiar with Brigham Young?
Yes. Okay,
so there is a publication in Utah, Deseret News, and they cover BYU sports. I found a column. This gentleman's name is Doug Robinson, and it is titled, headlined, "Please, Jets, give Zach Wilson a break."
I always love that one.
Ow. Here's what he says. It's an open letter to the New York Jets. Why am I focusing on Zach Wilson? Because that appears that, as of now, according to those that follow it so close, so effortfully, that he's going to be the pick. Here's what Doug Robinson of Deseret News says. Don't do it. Don't draft Zach Wilson. Give the kid a break. Pick someone else. The Ohio State quarterback, for instance, or whoever that guy is from North Dakota State. Hey, it's Trey Lance. He's from Marshall. We love him. Jeez. Come on, Doug. When the Jets traded away Sam Darnold to the Panthers, thus ending their latest quarterback failure, the New York Post ran a headline. The Jets now belong to Zach Wilson. Thanks for nothing.
I always love that one.
Former NFL wide receiver Brandon Marshall, who spent 2 seasons with the Jets, says Ohio State's Justin Fields should be picked before Wilson. And he's absolutely right. Let Wilson fall to the 49ers with the 3rd pick. Boy, will they be sorry. Look, the Jets are the quarterbacks. Wow, we got Shecky Green here today. The Jets are to quarterbacks what Larry King was to marriage.
I always love that one.
This guy's acting like Brigham Young University's the freaking New York Yankees of college football.
Larry King, I believe, 7 different women, married total of 8 times, 6 divorces, an annulment, and a separation.
And at one time, Larry King got himself into some trouble with some gambling. And then when he got the CNN gig, he was asked, is your gambling any form of problem anymore? And Larry said, not anymore. I make too much money.
They traded up to get the 5th pick of the 2009 draft, used it to select Mark Sanchez. He lasted 4 seasons before the team released him. I think people are going to start to get where this article is going from Doug Robinson in the Deseret News. Sanchez was still on the roster when they made Geno Smith the 39th pick of the 2013 draft. He was a starter for all of 2 seasons and then got kicked to the curb. They drafted Bryce Petty in the 4th round in 2015. He lasted 3 seasons and played in just 10 games. Done. And then they made Darnold the 3rd pick of the 2018 draft, and he's gone. Robinson chronicles it by doing this. James Morgan, 4th rounder 2020. Sam Darnold, 1st round 2018. Christian Hackenberg, 2nd round 2016. Bryce Petty, 4th round 2015. Taj Boyd, 6th round 2014. Geno Smith, 2nd round 2013. Greg McElroy, 7th round 2011. Sanchez, 1st round 2009. Eric Ainge, 5th round 2008. Kellen Clemens, 2nd round 2006. Brad Smith, 4th round 2006. Those are the quarterbacks that the Jets have drafted since 2006. They tried journeyman Ryan Fitzpatrick and Josh McCown, who have played for 18 teams between them. They tried Luke Falk, the Logan native. Okay, calm down, Mr. Robinson. Trevor Siemian and Joe Flacco. The last 15 years, the Jets have drafted 11 quarterbacks, 4 in the first 2 rounds. To quote Rooster Cogburn, well, that didn't pan out.
I always love that one.
My man's full of himself in this column.
Oh, he loves it. Meanwhile, the Packers have had 2 starting quarterbacks in 29 years. The Chiefs, Saints, Patriots, Falcons, Seahawks, Giants, and Steelers, among other teams, also have had stability at that position. And it might surprise you to know that the Jets have had 1 winning season in the last decade with all those QBs. Who thought it was that many? Do you realize that the Jets' all-time leader in starts is still Joe Namath? Namath is the single most overrated football player in history. In parentheses, he says, look at his stats just for fun.
Good God.
And he's still the most successful player they've had at the position. That's more than a half-century ago. So much of a quarterback's success depends on landing with the right team, even for the very, very best players. What What if Stafford hadn't spent the first 12 years of his career with the Lions? How different would Jim McMahon's career had if he hadn't been saddled with the Bears, who haven't had a great quarterback since what? Sid Luckman? You know, Steve Young. Steve Young got lucky. He was going to nowhere with Tampa Bay. Bill Walsh gives him a lifeline, brings him to San Francisco, and we know what happened in the future there. And the best thing to happen to Brett Favre, of course, was getting traded from Atlanta to Green Bay.
Yeah.
And he kind of ends it with this, noting that, John Elway was drafted by the Colts but refused to play for him, forced to trade to Denver. Eli Manning, San Diego, forced to trade to the Giants. Quarterback's the most valuable commodity. So Doug Robinson is begging the Jets, saying that, yep, we know you're going to draft him, but please don't draft Zach because your team is so awful. Your roster is so pathetic. Don't care about the new coaching staff. Don't care about the defensive-minded Robert Saleh. Don't care about any of that. You are going to screw up Zach's entire career if you force him to come to New York and be a quarterback for that team, which means they are most definitely drafting Zach Wilson 9 days from now.
So in the walk-up to 14, Jags, Trevor Lawrence, it's an absolute cinch. Is Zach Wilson an absolute cinch to the Jets? And next level Shanny, why exactly did he trade up to that 3 spot? Let's hit those after this.
Radio station.
Hey. You and Lavelle having Florio tomorrow?
Not sure as of yet.
Well, why I bring it up, I'm off tomorrow. My daughter is about to graduate from high school. She's getting an academic award tomorrow. You're like, we're happy for you. You would be if you knew what the last 2 years has been like. So that's why I won't be here tomorrow.
Oh, I thought it was because you were just completely vexed, perplexed, and confused by Jalen Phillips.
Yeah, and I was going to drive part way to meet with a covert scout to just get into the complexity of why Jim Mora Jr. said, the wrist, the concussions, the lack of playing time, that's not why he transferred. Okay, elaborate. What? Well, then why did he transfer?
Give us something, please.
But I bring up Florio because his radio co-host, Chris Sims, Phil's kid, played in the NFL.
Yeah.
Chris has some savant to him when he's analyzing quarterbacks. And I've followed it pretty closely the last couple of years, just the nuance of what he says about certain quarterbacks, all the way back to like Baker Mayfield. And I have not listened to the audio, but Chris is bullish that Zach Wilson is the right pick for number 1, not Trevor Lawrence.
Whoa.
But I haven't exactly listened. I just saw the headline. I was headline chasing. And,
okay.
And it definitely was via radio.
Did you retweet it without reading the article?
No. Why?
I'm just curious. What people do now, they chase headlines. Headlines tell the whole story.
No, but the A topic here is somebody whose opinion I respect regarding quarterbacks saying, and Chris doesn't splash just to splash. He thinks Zach Wilson should be the first overall pick in the draft over Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
I don't. And in fact, I don't think Zach Wilson should be the second overall pick in the draft. But that's my opinion from what I know, not necessarily what I see, but what I read and or follow or know. But Zach Wilson is favored to go second to the New York Jets. Now, Nordo mentioned the with 49ers defensive coordinator guy now as the head coach, and Adam Gase here, there, and everywhere. There will be an offensive change. So maybe what Wilson does complements what they want to do. But per the columnist, cracking wise with his snarky ways, the Shecky Green lines and Larry King and everything that he dropped, that's all good and everything. But when he goes through the litany of the Jets' problems with quarterbacks,
yeah,
I mean, it's each unto its own because it's a different year, a different staff, a free agency, different players, and the whole thing. But, I mean, if there is a team that is to take somebody in that spot and then watch one of the 3 to 5 behind them drafted blow up, and he doesn't blow up, it would be the Jets.
It would be the Jets.
I mean, it's just, it's past performances have been indicative of future results with this football team. And that includes Sam Darnold, where, I mean, Darnold's okay. You know, he never really has shown anything that would sell hope, at least to me, that this guy with accuracy, arm strength, acumen, movability, the whole thing, that there are facets to Sam Darnold that I can say are great. So like with our guy, we can say Cousins' accuracy is great. It is top whatever, top 10-ish, 7-ish in the history of the National Football League. His deep ball is close to great. His one hash to the other sideline, his arm strength is close to great.
Yeah.
But his accuracy and his diagnosing of plays, those are great. And I can't say any of that about Darnold, and I don't know enough about Wilson to say that's the case. But I mean, you could go up and down with Zach Wilson and Trey Lance, and mock and joke about what an awesome 18 for 32 against Western Kentucky. Well, that staunch Navy pass rush, man, 13 of 18, 232, a couple of TDs and a pick. He went for 33 TDs and 3 interceptions last season. The season before that, 11 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. So it plays off what I said yesterday. The Zach Wilson had one good season. Mac Jones had one good season. Trey Lance has played one game in a year and change. So that now starts to get me back to some of the others, like Kellen Mond, and some of the other quarterbacks deeper that, for my taste, I prefer as much as some of the 4 of the 5 or 3 of the 5 that they keep hitting us with.
Yeah.
So Jets with Zach Wilson, okay, that seems to be the chalk. Could happen.
Well, what about, Joe Namath chiming in here. This is from Alabama.com, or I think it's AL.com. I don't know. Maybe it's Alabama Ledger or something like that. Asked on NFL Now, Joe Namath, you want your old team, the New York Jets, to choose Alabama quarterback Mac Jones with the second selection in the NFL draft? Namath says, roll tide. How about that? What if they took Mac Jones?
And then he eyeballed Susie Colbert and said, I want to kiss you.
Don't you think in some of the issues that are coming up, and we're going to get to the third spot with the Niners, which is intriguing and very much could include the gentleman I just mentioned, Mac Jones. Mm-hmm. And I guess Namath will be rolling tide in the Bay. But the fact, when you look at how that guy laid it out for Deseret or whatever in relation to Zach, and he never mentioned any of Zach's imperfections that could lead into this being a bad marriage, which you laid out with Darnold and some of these other guys. Mm-hmm. Most of this is all predicated on a bad team that pushed these guys into starting right away, or the foundation upon which the facility was built that they're entering into was shaky in the very first place.
Right.
Where it was constantly, under the pretense of coaching changes, there has been strife and negativity in the mix. The most success that they've really had, as we chronicled some of those QBs, was the stretch where it was Rex Ryan and that great defense, and you had the rookie in Sanchez that just couldn't screw it up.
Yep.
And they had Thomas Jones, a little bit of a running game there and stuff. So there were complementary assets around them so that they could seed if they were thrust into it early. Whereas in most of these situations,
right,
a lot of these kids starting, look at Trubisky with the Bears.
Yeah.
It should have just been so freaking obvious that a kid that was going to go from starting a total of 13 games for North Carolina was going to be thrust into a position to be the starter, and that might not work out. In the same regard with, I think, Mac Jones, who, he started 17 or 20 games at the most, post Tua, and then now you have Zach Wilson, who's got more starts technically, but really just one season where he started to become something of note.
Yeah.
And so, regardless of all the jokes and the sarcasm and such, the Jets are just an awful organization. If they have to put one of these guys on the field right away, and it's not Trevor Lawrence, and there's a guy from Ohio State that we haven't even freaking mentioned yet, who I think built up some equity there, playing in big-time games against big-time defenses. I think any of these names are going to have a hard time truly shining under the bright lights.
Well, with Justin Fields it's, I'm if San Francisco does not take Justin Fields or Trey Lance, I mean, it's Fields before Lance, okay? Level of competition, height, more recent play. I honestly I'm not going to know what to say on the draft show if the 49ers roll with Mac Jones. He's not ready to play, okay? So they're going to keep Garoppolo and they're going to play him.
Yeah, for 1 year probably.
Right. So Mac Jones does not need to play right now. Either does Justin Fields.
Right.
An organization with the stability that they have had and some of the moves that they've made in the offseason and last offseason, man, it just still flabbergasts me that they moved DeForest Buckner. And granted, they got highly touted inside pass rushing guy who didn't do enough.
Javon Kinlaw.
Didn't do enough to, open eyes and become Defensive Rookie of the Year or anything, where DeForest Buckner, when he played, was unstoppable.
Yeah.
Now, why did they move DeForest? They moved DeForest because they are about to face a cap-related situation we are in right now.
So they could see the trees?
And they have a middle linebacker named Fred Warner. They have some young players. Their right tackle, McGlinchey, the Notre Dame kid. They have some big tickets coming up. Okay. So nevertheless, despite the non-obvious move of not seeing DeForest for the trees, for them to take Mac Jones would be an indicator to me that within the next year and change, they are completely refurbishing their offense. And they are just absolutely going to take the zone read offense, which has been a freaking Shanahan staple for decades. And they're going to use a quarterback who, A, is not close to playing right now, and B, can't bootleg and can't move.
Yeah.
It's not happening. That's it. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Couldn't care less. I could, because I want to be right with these draft picks. But they're not taking Mac Jones. And if they do, I'm wrong. It just does not make sense. There's so much subterfuge that will start being delivered and things that are fed and things that are planted and creeping things getting into the internet and newspaper stories and radio and TV that are not going to happen.
Right.
It's reminiscent of what I think is 2012, where I knew the Vikings were taking Matt Khalil, and I knew it from the combine on. In fact, there are members of the Vikings who, in December, when USC season was over, and Matt all of a sudden was like, well, I'm going to be a top 5 pick. I'm not going to go to my classes anymore, and just stopped. Well, there are people who know people who just want to know why. Well, I mean, like, why'd you just stop? I mean, you got some quit to you here? Or like,
yeah.
So, I mean, I knew it was happening. Yet, 3 hours before the draft, Steve Weish, who I love, Steve Weish with NFL Network was fed something that the Vikings are taking LSU corner Morris Claiborne.
Oh, yeah.
And, I mean, I'm driving to the draft show, and I'm hearing this, and are you kidding me? There's absolutely no way this is happening. But it just shows you the extent to which people will go to get information out there to try to provide a curveball of life with the draft.
Sure.
It's overrated. It's all overrated, in my opinion, because teams are too far along to know what they want to do to believe a newspaper report from something that probably is planted when they've been planting stuff for weeks.
Yeah.
So they get it. So that's it, man.
I love the Niners spot right here. I mean,
me too, but I just don't love. I can't see them taking Mac Jones. It doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't make sense. But, you mentioned Kinlaw and stuff. I mean, they lost Bosa and Solomon Thomas to ACLs last year early on.
Yeah. Solomon Thomas can't play.
He can't play, but
he needs help around him, but anyway.
But he was good enough to start for them until, he lost his season, and now he's on a different team. But, like, Richard Sherman's a free agent. I mean, their cornerback situation's awful.
Right.
But they get a chance to go get healthy and be really good again. 4-12 in 2018. They take Nick Bosa, they go to a Super Bowl. They come back, they get super injured in 2020, and now they're right back in that spot again.
Yeah.
I think it's a mistake as well if they take Mac Jones with how they want to run things, because that offense is solid when you think about getting Ayuk into his second year. Let's get Deebo Samuel healthy for 16 or 17 games now. Yeah. Kittle missed a stretch last year.
Yeah.
Like, they have the ability to immediately jump from worst to first in that division yet again.
Right. Because that running game's still going to pound on you and beat on you.
Freaking relentless.
If they're healthy.
And they got the fullback on a fat contract now, Juszczyk.
Yeah, Juszczyk.
So, but I'm with, I think it should be Justin Fields, but you know, it's the pro day, it's a subterfuge. I like the way that you laid it out. The scheme fit is Fields, and even Lance, if they like maybe the upside there. But Mac Jones doesn't make sense, but sometimes teams make decisions that we don't understand.
So 9 to noon with the walk up to 14, Lawrence, Wilson, Fields. That's what I'm saying.
That's my preferred, yes. Yeah. And that would make the most sense.
Yeah, it's not my preferred. I'm calling it. Right now, with the right to change the opinion, I guess. But as of right now, 3-2. Lawrence, Wilson, Fields. Not Lawrence, Wilson, Jones, and maybe not even Lawrence Wilson. But if we're going to call something now, Lawrence, Wilson, and Fields.
Ooh, 3 down and a bunch to go.
NFL draft conversation with a longtime friend of mine, Evan Silva, runs a website called EstablishTheRun.com. We'll chat. Maybe we'll bring this topic up with him and much more. He's money, as is a con who gives you this.
Hell yeah. KFAN, you know what we're trying to do? We're trying to put $1,000 in your hand with the National Cash Contest. And all you got to do, you go to KFAN.com, our website. KFAN.com, you'll enter the keyword work, and you're immediately entered for a chance to win $1,000. Go to KFAN.com, use the keyword work. The keyword is work. Go to KFAN.com.
For the ones standing guard, for the eagle-eyed, for the knights in shining armor, and for all those who support them. We are Grainger, your experienced safety partner, offering supplies and solutions for every industry, committed to helping keep your facilities safe and your people safer. Call, click Grainger.com/safety, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Do you know what's number one in Texas? If you have both Medicaid and Medicare, it's United Healthcare Dual Complete. With Dual Complete, you could get credits to buy over-the-counter health products at no cost. Dual Complete also includes dental coverage, transportation assistance, and much, much more. See why more Texans with Medicaid and Medicare choose United Healthcare Dual Complete. Call 1-855-633-4205. That's 1-855-633-4205. Based on Texas market share as of 2021.
The Fan. This is the Wild File, presented by Mystic Lake Casino Hotel on The Fan.
Hell yeah, it's the Wild File, 9 to noon. Last night, Wild and Coyotes. Here's Kaprizov.
Rask working it back. Here's Fiala. Fiala down low. In front, Kaprizov shoots and scores. Kaprizov for Minnesota. Another power play goal for the Wild, and they lead him 1-0.
Hey, you asked the kid to shoot more, that's what he does. And he ties Marian Gaborik for the rookie record for the Wild in goals in their first campaign. Couple of power play goals. One of the worst power plays in NHL history is suddenly unstoppable. The Wild win 5-2. 12 games remain. They're basically locked into that third spot in the West Division. And back at it tomorrow for one more against Arizona. It's a 7:45 pregame and an 8 p.m.-ish puck drop on your home for Wild Hockey, The Fan. That's the Wild File.
That was the Wild File, presented by Mystic Lake Casino Hotel on The Fan.
Paul Allen, how you been?
Oh, I've been doing real well. How about yourself?
Pretty well, thank you. This is Evan Silva from one of my favorite websites. Jumped into it and paid the money and subscribed for basketball and fantasy basketball and daily fantasy and stuff like that. It's called EstablishTheRun.com. But when you started this venture, Evan, it mostly was for football and fantasy football and daily and stuff like that, right?
Right. For about 12 years, I worked at RotoWorld.com and NBCSports.com and wrote a little bit for ProFootballTalk.com with your buddy Florio. And but I decided after 12 years doing that writing, about football, I wanted to go off and start my own thing. And I did that with Adam Levitan, who is like a DFS, daily fantasy expert in the football arena. And then we started to expand this year into basketball, and we hired Mike Gallagher away from Roto World. He's one of the most comprehensive, thorough basketball analysts that there is, maybe the most thorough. And then Drew Dinkmeyer and Michael Leone, who are famous for winning a ton of money playing fantasy basketball.
Gallagher with fantasy basketball is fantastic. I mean, like with all fantasy sports or all daily wagering opportunities for you mentioned Levitan, and as a subscriber, I will look at his daily fantasy his daily touts for the NBA. Be like Rashawn Holmes, over 10.5, 11.5 rebounds, and he likes this or that or whatever. And he's very good with it, and he's also quite profitable with it. Now, I noticed yesterday researching for this, Levitan likes some draft-related props. Now, with EstablishTheRun.com, and this guy, and our friend Evan Silva, at Evan Silva via Twitter, EvanSilva, at Evan Silva, follow him like I do. I don't want to step on Establish the Run's touchdown call here, Evan, but like Levitan and these draft-related props, can you drop one nugget, like one thing that he likes?
Yeah, I have no problem doing that. I mean, we want to help the listeners in any way that we can, whether it be behind the paywall or on your show. So let's talk about a couple of them. The first one that I really liked recently, and I mean, I've bet all these myself too. So like I have skin in the game here. I'm not betting them myself, but Travis Etienne to be the first running back drafted, which right now, if you look on DraftKings Sportsbook, and there's a bunch of different sports books that you can subscribe to, but and they're going to be different prices, but at least at DraftKings Sportsbook right now, which is one of the bigger ones, Najee Harris from Alabama is considered the favorite to be the number one running back drafted. But I think that if you look at recent mock drafts that have historical accuracy, like Peter Schrager or Daniel Jeremiah, or there's some lesser known guys who have accurate track records of mock drafts, you're not seeing Najee Harris at all in the first round in a majority of them, and you're starting to see Travis Etienne in the top 20. Like Peter Schrager of Good Morning Football, he's been really good at mock drafting historically. He has Travis Etienne going number 19 overall. And there's also been talk of Travis Etienne going 18 overall to the Dolphins. Whereas, you might see Najee Harris at like 27 or 28. And you're getting plus odds on that Travis Etienne to be the first running back drafted right now on DraftKings Sportsbook at plus 150.
Wow.
That's a pretty good bet. Another one that I like is Trey Lance to be the third overall pick to San Francisco. Now, this has been, the biggest source of debate regarding the early part of the draft is who do the 49ers trade up for? Yeah. A lot of people think it's Mac Jones. Some people thought that it was Justin Fields. I think that Trey Lance, because he has the longest odds, and it's still like a 33% proposition. When you're getting the longest odds, I think you take them. And Trey Lance is the kind of quarterback that you trade up for. He's got that Patrick Mahomesian skill set, whereas, Mac Jones really doesn't. And I think it would be strange for a team to trade up, essentially surrendering 3 first-round picks and a third-round pick to go get a quarterback like Mac Jones. I do think you do that for a talent like Trey Lance. So like with the Niners, next level Shanny, Evan, with Lance and or Fields, is Fields like what, plus 150? Lance would be like plus 250 or something? Yeah. I think that, the last time I looked, Trey Lance was at like plus 300. Fields was actually the favorite at minus 125, and then Mac Jones was at plus 150 the last time I looked, which was like last night.
Excellent. Evan Silva, EstablishTheRun.com. Fantastic website for the for my taste, for the NFL and for the NBA. Evan Silva, EstablishTheRun.com. The Rams are doing their draft from a glitzy Malibu mansion. I mean, how freaking cool is that, man?
It's pretty cool. You know, they haven't had a first-round pick in a long time, and they're not going to have another one until, I believe, 2024. Jared Goff was their last first-round pick that it was 2017 or 2016. So, you know, they're really going to be able to enjoy living in that beautiful loft, because they're not going to even have to make a pick for the entire first day.
Now, some spots where I'm struggling up to the Vikings at 14, and you know, I want to get your non-obvious thoughts on this, because that's how you operate at EstablishTheRun.com. Some toughies for me include, Evan, the Lions at 7. The Lions at 7. Chris Spielman's first draft running the team. Super aggressive Dan Campbell and the kneecaps. What the Lions at 7? What do you think?
I think that the way that they have sort of stripped down their roster, and so far this offseason, and they let Kenny Golladay go. They weren't aggressive going and pursuing any other free agents. They moved on from Matthew Stafford, and they sort of, took the short-term hit on Jared Goff. I don't think that they believe that Jared Goff is truly their quarterback of the future. It seems like they are sort of going to sit this one out. They're going to sit out 2021, sort of like the Dolphins did in 2019, the Browns did for a couple of years. And so I think that they really would like to trade back and accumulate more draft picks, to really jumpstart their rebuild. If not, though, and one of these quarterbacks slips to them, whether it be Lance, whether it be Fields or Mac Jones, I think they got to take them, because I think they know that Jared Goff is not the long-term guy. He's a quarterback like in the Andy Dalton range, to where your supporting cast has to be elite to elevate him. He's not going to elevate teammates. He's not the kind of quarterback that makes his teammates better.
Denver at 9. Your thoughts?
So I think that they are a team that could very well trade up for a quarterback. And maybe, what we're talking about here is connecting the dots. The Broncos end up trading up into the 7th spot with the Lions. The Lions move down, get a couple extra picks. In that scenario, the Broncos jump the Panthers, who are somewhat of a threat, to take a quarterback at number 8. And that would ideally be for, Fields, Lance, Mac Jones, one of these guys. The Broncos have a really good roster at everywhere but the quarterback position. They need to solve that. I think that they know that Drew Lock is not the answer.
Evan Silva, EstablishTheRun.com. The Vikings at 14. Take it away.
So I think that the sort of obvious answer here would be an offensive tackle. And if somehow Rashawn Slater out of Northwestern slips there, I think that he's your day one starting left tackle. And all of a sudden you got a pretty promising, young offensive line, all guys who you drafted recently. I think that would be the ideal scenario. I think a reach scenario would be Christian Darrisaw out of Virginia Tech to play one of the tackle spots. But again, I think that you would be reaching for need a little bit there. A wild card, and we know how the Vikings pass defense disintegrated last year, primarily, really because they couldn't cover anybody and they couldn't rush the passer. It sounds like Mike Zimmer's confident that Daniel Hunter is coming back, and I think they did a good job piecing together the cornerback position in the offseason, but I think they need another pass rusher. And Jalen Phillips out of Miami is a player whose name has gotten really hot recently. He's drawn comparisons to Joey Bosa. And I think that he could be a sleeper to be that 14th overall pick.
Do you trust him? Concussions, potentially chronic wrist, transfers from UCLA. Jim Mora Jr. says the risks, the concussions, the playing time had nothing to do with the transfer and would not elaborate. Jalen Phillips, do you trust him?
I don't know, but I think that's why you have the chance to get him at 14 and why he's not being discussed as, one of the best non-quarterback picks in all the drafts. I think that if he didn't have those little red flags, then, we'd be talking about him in the top 7 or 8.
How close do you think the Vikings are, Evan, to winning multiple playoff games?
I think that they're a lot closer than people think. I think that the list of needs, there are some clear needs, but I also think that there are needs that the Vikings will be able to draft with, multiple third-round picks, and with this number 14 overall pick, spinning it back toward betting on this team, their over-under for wins is only 8.5 right now, and I think that they're going to have any problem going at least 9-8 this year. The Packers haven't gotten any better. The Lions have gotten worse. The Bears certainly haven't gotten any better. And so I like betting the over on the Vikings. But in terms of winning multiple playoff games, I do think that they are closer than people think. They were number 8 in offensive DVOA last year. They were a top 8 offense. They were 18th in defensive DVOA. That's not a Mike Zimmer defense. We're going to see more of a Mike Zimmer defense this year, and that's going to really help.
Evan, lastly, you guys talk, as we mentioned earlier, you guys talk and write about gambling, and you tout, okay, which I love. Levitan and others at the site, you guys will tout. Is that risky because all predictions obviously are not going to be accurate?
Yeah, but I think that people need to know that going in. I think that we're not trying to say like, oh, you can become a professional gambler just by taking our recommendations. We're doing it fun. We're betting them ourselves, so it's not like we're giving out advice that we're not ourselves investing in. But I think that you need to approach it as this is having fun. Do not try to become a professional gambler, because over the course of time, that you're going to end up losing in all likelihood.
Appreciate you, man. I love the site. I love EstablishTheRun.com. Thank you very much, Evan, and have a wonderful day. Good luck with the draft, okay?
Thanks, Paul.
Yep, see you, bud. Evan Silva, at Evan Silva via Twitter. He established EstablishTheRun.com. Techie time, about 25 minutes from now. An update on the world of sport around the corner. This is
The Fan.
The Spinners. Yeah. Working our way back to you, 9 to noon. News du Nord, brought to you by Canterbury's Card Casino. Poker, blackjack, table games, maybe Aaron Gleeman. And it's all year round. CanterburyPark.com for details on everything happening in one of the coolest spots in the Metro.
Number 1.
We'll start with the Wild.
Rask working it back. Here's Fiala. Fiala down low. In front, Kaprizov shoots and scores. Kaprizov for Minnesota. Another power play goal for the Wild, and they lead him 1-0.
Man, they just can't be freaking beat on the power play these days. 18th goal of the season for Kirill Kaprizov. Ties Marian Gaborik. Most goals in a rookie campaign by a member of the Minnesota Wild in franchise history. And anticipate with 12 to go, maybe Kaprizov writes his own name at the top of that list. But the Coyotes make it interesting. A 3-2 game with Alex Goligoski's third goal of the year, early third period. But then Fiala. Fiala, when he's good, is so damn good. Jonas Brodin ices it to make it 5-2. And the Minnesota Wild firmly cemented in that third spot, PA, with 12 games to go before they hit the playoffs.
With what I think is fair with the rookie conversation involving Kaprizov and Marian Gaborik is it is fair to remind those now and or devotees if they have forgotten. Gabby was 18. When
you're an ageist.
When Gabby was stealing the show, he was 18 and 19 years old. Kaprizov, 23, 24, 6 years of professional hockey in the KHL. So Kaprizov was tailor-made to jump in and fit better than Marian Gaborik. But, as we discussed with the Elite Hockey Mind opinion of Wes Walls last Friday, you can compare and contrast Kaprizov and Walls' former teammate, Marian Gaborik. And you come to a common thread of dynamic, God-gifted offensive skill. But age-wise or not, Kaprizov is the greatest rookie in the history of Minnesota Wild hockey. Can I get a witness?
Yeah, hallelujah to that. And tomorrow night, 7:45 pregame, 8 p.m.-ish puck drop, Wild and Coyotes. It's free. Just grab a radio on your home for Wild Hockey, The Fan.
Number 2.
Twins, they're back at it. We'll talk more during the final hour with Aaron Gleeman, but it's a doubler today. It's a straight doubleheader starting at 5:30, 8:30-ish for the second game. Mr. Shoemaker and Manaya getting after it at 5:30. Barrios and Luzardo in the second game, but as of yesterday, no new positive COVID tests for the members of the Minnesota Twins. Late in, I think it was like dinner time, they were finally allowed to leave via flight to Oakland, and they'll face the Athletics today. So good to be back for the Minnesota Twins. Looking forward to them to maybe just trying to win a game or something.
Number 3.
I got a lot of NFL news to dig through here, and you just stop me if you have some quick twitch in your heart to report or to opine on it. How about Mike Tomlin becomes head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers in 2007? Former defensive coordinator, Minnesota Vikings under Childress, I believe. Does a great job. Second year with the team, a much younger Ben Roethlisberger, and that defense with Polamalu and everybody. They win a Super Bowl in his second season as head coach. They would return in 2010, but they get beat by Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. No Super Bowls since, but the Rooneys, the ownership group of the Steelers, appear to still love Mike because he was just granted a 3-year contract extension, PA, through the 2024 season.
Yeah, and I don't have a problem with it, and I'm not going to, I'm not going to take time to go to Steelers group chats and stuff like that, because I would imagine there will be a problem with Tomlin getting that extension because of the way some things have fallen off with the Steelers over the last X amount of years. Mike is organized. Mike is up front. And most importantly, Mike, during the pandemic and during the most non-obvious, awkward season, probably in the history of the NFL, the way he communicates and the way he consoles and works with young men, that's something anybody who knows Mike Tomlin from 2006, I mean, you could tell immediately this guy, when it comes to working with young men, he's as good as I've ever seen in my life. And we're talking about, the competitive types who have a lot of money, a lot of free time, and they also have a lot of problems. And like a lot of men, they internalize and they don't open up. Mike's very good at getting to the crux of the problem and working through things with people. So, yeah, man, I'm a big Mike Tomlin fan. Whatever comes his way positively, I'm in that camp.
Absolutely. Some other things here. I'll hit just more sad negative news before a couple of retirements. Aldon Smith hadn't played in 5 freaking years. Comes back, is somewhat productive, at least early on, tailed off in his first season back in the NFL in a half decade with the Dallas Cowboys. In the offseason, he signs a deal with I believe it was a 1-year deal with the Seattle Seahawks 2-3 days ago. Well, let's go to now. A warrant has been issued for the arrest, and I can't laugh about it because it's battery. He choked a victim unconscious during a confrontation that began inside a coffee shop in Louisiana. That's what the warrant is for.
Wow.
So that's awful, second-degree battery. This is just announced 2 days after he tries to continue his NFL career. I'd assume that at some point a release would be in the mix or something, more words from the Seahawks to come, more information and facts and all of those things. But by the sounds of it, Aldon Smith, another cautionary tale of not being able to get out of your own way.
Barista, if the man wants sweet cream, get him sweet cream. End of story.
Number 4.
Jordan Reed retires after 6 seasons with the Washington football team.
We're doing a Zoom with him on Thursday night for the draftnetwork.com.
Yeah, it's Jordan Reid. Tell him what you think of his retirement. No, it's Jordan Reed, the guy that played in the NFL. This guy was a tight end. Our Jordan Reed was a quarterback.
Yeah.
And now analyzes quarterbacks at a high level. Jordan Reed, former tight end of not only Washington, his final year spent in San Francisco. He caught 355 passes for 28 touchdowns, and that sounds like a light number given his talent, because it is. Because he couldn't stay healthy, whether it was concussions, like some knee and some ankle bits, just nagging away at him. His career comes to an end, as does that of former 2005 first overall pick. Roger is still annoyed he wasn't taken first overall, but Alex Smith ends his NFL career as well, 99, 67, and 1, and above 500, by the way.
Yeah.
At each of his 3 locations, 38 and 36 and 1 with San Fran, 50 and 26 with Kansas City. Washington, 11 and 5 in his final 2 seasons there. He missed 2 full years through his career, one with a shoulder in San Fran, the other most recently with the, what is that, compartmental? I forget what it's called. It was a nasty-ass fracture is what it was when he was with Washington. So he missed 2 full years, 63% completion over his career, 199 TDs, 109 interceptions. The career of Alex Smith with some playoff appearances and such mixed in.
With Alex, I'm stealing this from somebody on Twitter, and I cannot remember the name, so no witness, and I do apologize. The NFL's Comeback Player of the Year award the name should be changed to the Alex Smith Award. End of story. The Alex Smith Award. 17 surgeries. Like 17 surgeries on the same knee or something.
Insanity.
So it should be the Comeback Player of the Year award should be the Alex Smith Award. Great take by somebody. I wish I knew who it was. Jordan Reed and those concussions. It was just so sad because they just kept negative things injury-wise kept happening to him.
And he was so good when he was rolling 100%.
So fast.
Yeah.
Yep, so fast and a scholar of the game from what I understand. It's just a couple of sad stories there, but Alex had an opportunity to back up Trevor Lawrence in Jacksonville. And from what I understand, he was pretty close to taking it, but then perhaps discretion became the better part of valor. And he's like, you know what? I've done this a long time. I've been very fortunate to get through a lot of this stuff, and I had the opportunity to go out on my terms, not on a freaking stretcher.
Yeah.
I'm a massive Alex Smith fan from all the way back in the day when Norv was his offensive coordinator with the San Francisco 49ers, and knowing Turner and learning about Alex and just who he is, man. I'm just a huge Alex Smith guy.
I love it.
Number 5.
Finally, the Wolves are in Sacramento tonight. So I'm rooting for Anthony Edwards and Kat and everybody. I'm kind of rooting for Harrison Barnes as well. Not going to explain that. But anyway.
Yes, sir.
Just give me 30 seconds on Steph Curry here, because I'm looking at his last 5 games.
Yeah.
And then 53, 42, 33, 47, 49. That's all impressive. And we know Steph Curry is one of the elite scorers in the history of the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
But how about this? 10 3-pointers.
Yeah.
11 3-pointers. Then he was 4-13 against the Cavs, albeit in a victory. 11 against Tatum and Brown and Smart and Tice and those, maybe Tice isn't with Boston anymore, but doesn't matter. 11. And then 10 last night in a victory over the Sixers. The injured and or downtrodden or on the mend Steph Curry-led Warriors are now 29-29, and they are a part of the play-in mix. They have a playoff opportunity, PA, in the Western Conference on the back of Steph Curry, who is just playing as incredibly as he ever has.
Yeah, I watched a majority of the second half of this game last night because there was no Ben Simmons, no Tobias Harris. All right, so Philadelphia was right to get whooped. And Golden State now playing with Curry and Kevon Looney and Jordan Poole and Damian Lee, Draymond Green. Wiseman's out for the year.
Yep.
So Steph has been playing with these guys for a little while now. And what I'm getting at is they now know how to play together. So I'm not going to say they're formidable, but as 2022 is going to go, you need to identify a trend before it becomes a trend. and then you need to mash on it, and then the lemmings get in, and you get out because the odds are different. So with Golden State, I've just been watching them closely of late. And last night, playing against his brother Seth.
Seth, yeah.
It was a super tight game, man. And Seth hit a 3. And jokingly, because Dell's kids, you could just tell, love each other and are very tight. He barked at the Golden State Warriors bench. I don't know what was said, but Steph did not talk to him the rest of the game and went into obliteration mode.
Yeah.
I mean, this Tybal or whatever.
Tybal?
Yeah, who steals.
Matisse.
Yeah, Matisse steals it a bunch, occasionally hits a 3, can't play. But defensively, he's good. They tried to put him on Steph. Without a pick and roll, Steph ran circles around this cat. And this is sports snobbery. It was such a treat to watch a Hall of Famer turn it on and just become unstoppable, even in a game where there was a pick and roll at the end of the first half where Joel Embiid ended up on Steph. And Steph tried to cross on him, but Embiid has some of the best footwork in the NBA. He backed off, let Steph get by him, timed up a block, swatted it out of bounds. So, I mean, this thing was kind of on last night a little bit, sneaky little on. And when Steph's brother barked at the Warriors bench, game was over. I mean, Steph went to hyper mode and I saw him hit 5 threes. I mean, they were just the run and stop and pull up from anywhere, man. It was just beautiful. Warriors won at 107-96. Techie time around the corners, 9-0.
The Fan.
Twins teching. Gleaming.
No love for my Golden State Warriors?
You know I've been searching for someone.
All positive with the negatives, right?
Yeah, it's a little tricky.
All positive with the negatives.
I remember when I was a kid and I was driving with my grandfather and I was giving him directions like where to turn. He taught me, say correct, do not say right.
Yeah.
When you're in the car giving people directions.
Yeah.
And so when it comes to COVID news, do not say positive.
Right.
Say good news or encouraging news.
Yep.
Because positive, negative, it's a little tricky. But yes, the Twins, as of last night,
yeah.
I mean, they were able to fly from Anaheim to Oakland.
Oh, so they went last night?
Yeah, or it might have been, yeah, it was last night.
Really? Because, okay, now...
I don't think they flew today. I mean, they had to go full, they've been going full multiple rounds of testing every day.
Okay.
The plan, as we sit here at, 11 o'clock...
Stay positive, test negative.
Yeah, is a doubleheader today starting at 5:30 Central Time. It'll just be a straight-up doubleheader, which means half-hour break between the two games.
Yeah.
So you'll have some people out there who'll have some late night baseball to watch, which
sweet.
I'm Jones. You don't realize, like, you go 6 months without baseball or 5 months, starts up, you get 2 weeks in, you're like, all right, it's baseball season. Then you miss 3 days, you're like, oh, I could go for some baseball right now.
Well, yeah, but it's not like MLB completely shut down because the 85 Bears shortstop got bit.
That's true.
And potentially started the whole thing, which we're not casting aspersion the way of Andrelton Simmons, but you understand what I'm saying here. But I mean, okay, so you got the Friday night piece. It was awful.
Yeah.
Just like most of the Red Sox series.
Yep.
So then, they get bit and they don't play over the weekend. I mean, I've been excited to bring this up to you.
Okay.
I was on the radio yesterday, didn't even text you over the weekend. The Padres-Dodgers series.
Yeah, it was great.
That series itself, I don't know what I'm paying for extra innings.
Yeah.
I got no idea, just re-ups.
It's worth it.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
I mean, like, to catch something on Twitter in, like, the second or third inning, then be like, oh, I'm going there. I was captivated by not only the buzz in the stadium. Okay, so I don't know how many they're permitting.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's minimum 15,000.
Yeah, it's probably a third or a quarter of the
right.
whatever.
So therefore, you got people, you got the buzz.
Yeah,
and early in the game, you got the little chirps. So there's my guy on third, and somebody says something from the Dodgers dugout, and you just see his head just whips over there.
Yeah.
Nothing happens. Next inning, something comes from the Padres dugout. Kershaw whips his head, doesn't say anything. But then it always comes to pass in these games, and holy cow, was that an intense series.
Yeah, the Kershaw's just straight up yelling at guys, which is great.
He threw it back to elite Cy Young. You're not touching me, Kershaw.
Yeah, he's actually, about 3 years ago, it almost looked like he was kind of on the downswing.
Especially in the postseason.
Yeah, and he's really turned it around quite a bit. Obviously, they win the World Series last year. But here's the best I agree with you. Dodgers-Padres has been great.
I'm just going to plop on you with this to get it out of the way. With Clayton Kershaw, he reminded me of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, okay, when I lived in Los Angeles. Because Kareem, easygoing, zen chill. You piss off Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, you can't stop him.
Right.
And you piss off Clayton Kershaw, and you're not going to hit him. End of story.
And I feel like you would know better than me, but I feel like with Kareem, he kept going as a star caliber guy long after people started to say, oh, he's on the decline.
For my taste, greatest center, history of NBA, can hit me with Wilt, can hit me with Bill. All right, cool. I mean, they were great. Wilt and or Bill Russell.
Yeah.
Not the shortstop, the center. But I mean, the level of competition they were dominating was just a little different than Kareem.
Yeah, I agree with that.
You know, when I mean, he was beating artists.
What about Shaq, though?
Well, that's a really good one.
I mean,
that's a
for a 10-year period.
Yeah,
Shaq didn't age as well as Kareem.
Oh, you're right.
But
you're right.
Shaq, I mean,
okay. Well, see, Kareem invented a shot.
Yes, although nobody uses it.
Right, because
so it's like,
that's what makes him immortality.
Yeah, you're right about that.
He invented the sky hook. Well, he invented that hook. Then Chick Hearn, the greatest play-by-play voice this side of Vin Scully in any sport, he called it the sky hook and invented that. The same man who invented triple-double, the dribble on a yo-yo, in the popcorn machine. Chick Hearn invented the phrase slam dunk.
What was this thing? Put the game on ice and put it...
This game's in the refrigerator. This game's in the refrigerator. The eggs are cooling. The Jello's jiggling. The butter's getting hard. And the Lakers have beaten the Portland Trailblazers.
Jesus, ever. What were we talking about again? Dodgers, Padres.
Yes.
Here's the best part. I agree. It was great. They play like 15 more times.
I know.
And the Padres have built up a team now in terms of spending, in terms of Tatis turning into a star. They're going to be doing this year after year.
Yeah.
And I'm very curious to see what the CBA does to the playoff format once it expires this year, because they're going to be negotiating. Because if it stays where there's only 2 wildcard teams and you have to coin flip to get into the playoffs, basically, the runner-up in that division really kind of gets the short end of the stick there. Because you could easily have a 95-plus win team finish second place in that division, get the wild card, and be 1 loss away from being knocked out of the playoffs before it really gets going. But yeah, I mean, that is a potentially great rivalry that we're already seeing kind of simmering. I mean, the games themselves have been great, and then like you said, it's nice. I like a little chirping. I don't need to see people throwing at each other's heads or whatever, but a little bit of chirping back and forth, especially knowing that they're going to be playing like once every few weeks for the whole season.
Yeah.
I love that.
And it absolutely is little big brother. It's a little brother, big brother thing, because like to get under the skin of Dodgers fans, and Dodgers fans, like Raiders fans, back when the Raiders were in Los Angeles, they can be cantankerous, they can be mean, and it always has been an edgy group. Okay.
Well, and plus they're riding high. They finally won the World Series after coming up so close and not getting it. And I think they've won that division like 7 or 8 years in a row
until Profar,
Jerks and Profar.
Until Profar starts banging on a trash can, and Machado is like hitting him 480. This is Aaron Gleeman, by the way, weekly 9 to noon. Absolutely love it. Aaron Gleeman covers the Minnesota Twins for The Athletic and theathletic.com. At Aaron Gleeman via Twitter. Yes, he is Judy's child, and he belongs to something called Beloved BJ. He joins weekly. It's 11:11. Good morning. So shipping up to Oaktown for a doubleheader today. Yeah, that's not in play, because I thought I mean, we kind of always low-key are thinking 2022. I thought they were shipping today.
I mean, I
and
guess
playing a no-hitter, and I'd be like, are you freaking kidding? I mean, I understand it's pandemic time.
Yeah.
But that's
I
guess a major disadvantage.
How far is Oakland from Anaheim? Talking
8 hours.
Yeah, but flight-wise.
8 and change. Oh, flight? Hour and a piece.
Yeah. So, I mean, they could.
Hour and a small piece. Who the hell wants a team that got bit on a plane?
Well, that's true, too. But they're not driving 8 hours. They're not getting in a Greyhound and making that way. But also, like, I hope this is the case that they're going to play at 5:30 first pitch. We get to see 2 games today, 1 game tomorrow.
Yeah.
And they're coming back home. But they have to go through at least one more round of testing at the ballpark today with the rapid test.
Feels like they're going to get swept. It's just too much. I mean, they weren't playing well.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
Then they get bit, and this is all just so heavy.
I mean, there's 2 ways it can go, right? They can get bit, and they can sit around thinking in the hotel for 3 days, just thinking about how badly they've been playing, and come out and get swept.
Right.
And then things really start to snowball, and you're in trouble here, even as early as it is. Or you can kind of use this few days to get healthy, get right, kind of regroup mentally and physically, and maybe they come out, you take 2 out of 3, you're coming back home, you have Pittsburgh, which you should at least take 2 out of 3 there, maybe sweep, because Pittsburgh is pretty awful for a weekend series.
Shelton, though.
Shelton, though, this might be
seriously,
it's going to be a short-lived job, I think. Unfortunately.
Right. They're that bad?
I mean, he's a really good dude, and I think in the right circumstances, he could be a really good manager, but that is just an unwinnable situation. I mean...
Is it unwinnable or untenable or both?
It's both. Untenable, certainly.
Hey, did they even get to do anything, or have they just been because I'm just thinking teams had been stuck staring at the ice machine in the hallway or watching pay-per-view, and then now they're just going to jump out and play a doubleheader. Now, and I don't want to go down the Dan Hayes preposterous statement, tunnel here, but I do picture if I'm bullpen arm and I'm used to a daily routine before I go out and play 2 games, like that could be a thing. I mean, is it? I don't know.
What about Barrios' long toss?
Yeah, I mean, they could
do it in the parking lot.
The long toss.
Pitching it's the tricky part. Is like, I'm not going to go Dan Hayes on the bit. Although he was so proud to win that tournament.
Was he?
The preposterous.
I had him on 9 to noon last week. He was fantastic.
The victory lap.
Yeah.
I would have taken a different approach.
Why?
I don't want to be known for saying ridiculous things.
Who cares?
I don't know. He was proud of it.
It's because he gets it.
Yeah, he does. He's a troll at heart.
He appreciets the bit. That's the key.
That is definitely
doesn't take himself too serious.
But I would say the biggest thing today is, I mean, they had to adjust their whole rotation basically. You're going to skip Jay Happ because he was supposed to go in Game 2 of the series.
Yep.
You're going to get Shoemaker and Barrios today. You push Maeda back till tomorrow.
Miss Shoemaker against his former squad.
That's true. And by the way, missed Andrelton Simmons against his former squad too because he's staying at home here in Minneapolis. But it's a weird situation. I'm very curious how they handled the pitching because they didn't take a month off, but everybody basically missed a normal week of work, so you may see some short starts, which I know people already think Baldelli has a quick hook on everybody anyway, but you're going to see the whole bullpen put at play today, certainly in the doubleheader situation, and they'll get an extra player that they can use for the doubleheader today too.
It is AG joining 9 to noon weekly.
Twins Techie.
Also co-host of Twins Weekly, which takes place at 5 o'clock?
Yeah.
5
o'clock Sundays.
5 o'clock on Sundays with the Geek. At Aaron Gleeman via Twitter, The Athletic, theathletic.com to follow his work and subscribe as I do. It's 11:15. Good morning, Nordo Cash Thing.
Yeah, the Fan wants to give you a chance to put $1,000 in your hand every single hour with a fresh keyword. This hour's keyword is trip. And all you got to do, you just go to KFAN.com and you type in that word, trip. Take a trip to KFAN.com, use the keyword trip, and you might win $1,000. Good luck. Hope you...
For the ones standing guard, for the eagle-eyed, for the knights in shining armor, and for all those who support them. We are Grainger, your experienced safety partner, offering supplies and solutions for every industry, committed to helping keep your facilities safe and your people safer. Call, click Grainger.com/safety, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Do you know what's number one in Texas? If you have both Medicaid and Medicare, it's United Healthcare Dual Complete. With Dual Complete, you could get credits to buy over-the-counter health products at no cost. Dual Complete also includes dental coverage, transportation assistance, and much, much more. See why more Texans with Medicaid and Medicare choose United Healthcare Dual Complete. Call 1-855-633-4205. That's 1-855-633-4205. Based on Texas market share as of 2021.
On the Fan.
Get no rest. Don't know how I work all day.
That was awesome.
Just being dressed down by the boss. Is that what you're saying?
I mean, whether
he was right.
If I were to establish program director Chad Abbott, Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum clipping penalties and the frequency with which they happen, from what I know, I would put, if it's power rankings here, I would guess Sauce 1, Nordo 2, Halverson somewhere in there, but I just don't exactly know.
I'm ready to enter the mix,
But that argument you and Abbott just got in,
it was heated.
And I mean, to be able to sit back in the peanut gallery and witness consternation that does not involve me, I mean, that was terrific.
Here's the beauty of it. You list all those other guys, I don't know where I fit in there. I'm not even technically a KFAN employee, and I'm still like...
he doesn't care.
Yeah.
Okay, but no...
And I'm still feeling bad about it.
Right, but your extended family.
Yes. I'm a quasi-employee.
Yeah, 9 to noon, you are deeply rooted verbal family. But your extended family with us, you got a show on the Fan.
That's true.
You're here every week, all the way back to Girls Gone Gleaming.
The weekend real estate gives him credence to rip you.
Well, and he was right.
When
That's
he
the
wants.
sad thing. At first, I put up a fight, and then about 10 seconds in, I went, you know what?
That was the the A topic, because it's like this. I don't know what funeral home should sponsor this segment right here.
But I've been buried.
What did late Ray Christensen used to do? On CCO with before or after Gophers games.
Well, what about McCreevy?
Thank you, McCreevy. That's what it was.
Yeah.
McCreevy, or whatever it's called.
Sponsored, it's Washburn McCreevy.
Washburn McCreevy should sponsor this segment.
Sponsors today's dressing down of Aaron Gloom.
No, there were 2 coffins.
Oh.
The first one I was in, okay?
Oof.
When we're heading, 9 to noon, cash thing, blah, blah, blah. And then I'm leaving to get black coffee. And then I said, that Ball Deli, I just can't get a read on what Ball Deli does with these pitchers.
Yeah.
And then I went back to Barrios in the 84, and I'm like, you know more about it than me, man. But at that stage, I tell La Maquina, go out there, and if you can get these 3 in 13 pitches, I'll give you the next one. Not like maybe it works but he didn't, okay? So then you laid out 3 things, stage of the season, La Maquina, Ball Deli, whole thing, and you put me in a coffin. I mean, I closed the door and I said, you're right, it's a box.
And I was right. I was sitting in here thinking how genius I am, and then 10 seconds later, the door reopens.
Well, yeah, because you're not professionally... the communication piece that I just understand here, that I just took in here, your communicative skills maybe need to improve. But you defended yourself beautifully to the boss.
Well, for about 4 seconds that I broke down.
Yeah, because he hit you with something about not responding about something. It's not my business to know what it was. But then as you were backpedaling, I chimed in and said, your texting back to me is awful.
Yeah.
So
you said basically, he's bad at that too. And I went, well, what am I? Okay.
It was an email. Yes, it was great.
Yeah, it's valid.
But you ended with metaphorical high fives, laughing, joking.
But did you like that?
Side squeezing.
But I was realistic because typically I think a person who, when someone says you're so bad at replying to emails or whatever, typically what I would say in that spot is, I'm going to try to get better. I didn't say that because I know myself.
Right.
I might try, but
you're not a fan employee. So therefore, you are able to come at Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum hard.
Well,
what's he going to pull away? Tuesdays 9 to noon or Sundays?
Well, that Sunday paycheck is.
Yeah, but you know what? That athletic promotion. Tuesdays too. Holy cow! You don't lose that.
I love Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum from way back.
It was beautiful. I wasn't involved. B, it was legit. Yeah. C, there was a winner. And D, it ended with everybody laughing and smiling.
Yes.
Oh, what a wonderful way to handle the world as we go.
We really got to record the commercial breaks.
Are you still watching The Wild?
A little, yeah, although I've been busier now. Mm-hmm. But I do appreciate the fact that they're not slowing up any. Like, I really thought, okay, maybe this was a good start. I'm not a Wild fan from way back, so I don't know how these things tend to go. Mm-hmm. But it's my understanding that they haven't really sustained greatness for very long in their history. Mm-hmm. And meanwhile, especially at home, obviously, they've been great. I've been reading Russo's articles every day. I've been trying to become informed, at least. Not an expert, but at least informed enough that I can watch a game and understand what's going on. And it's fun.
The Flintstone car, where it's little and you got to run to get it going.
Yeah.
What's it called?
I don't know.
The Fit?
Something rock. Something.
Your car.
Oh, my car?
Yeah.
Honda Fit.
Yeah, it's the Fit. It's the Flintstone.
I thought you meant the actual.
No, it's like when Fred or Barney, or just like Barney with those stubby little Hagen legs, are just running along. And
yes.
That's when I saw you in that car, was just the proportion was just weird. But anyway, we're going to get that Fit to St. Paul. For Vox in the Box. We'll get it cleared. Right. We'll get it cleared with Sickman, the Morse of the Wild. And so you can come out and see a morning skate and, join for a little bit and just kind of
I'm mostly interested.
Feel the tension of pandemic postseason hockey.
Whoever the chef is over there always serves you guys really good stuff.
There you go.
That's the draw for me. Let's go in the morning, eat a bunch, get myself into a food coma, go home.
So that might pull you a little closer to it.
Yeah.
With the Timberwolves at Sacramento tonight, I think we've done this. How long have we done weekly radio?
6 years, right? Like
6, 7,
at least
8?
6 years. Yeah.
So I think, and if I'm wrong here, please take me deep.
Yeah.
I think if I know I am wrong, that I will retreat, and I have no problem saying you were right.
Similar to me and Abbott just now.
Right. Or somebody was right and my take was wrong.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that fair to say?
Sure. Uh-oh.
Perilously getting close to the edge with D'Angelo Russell. And here's why.
Yeah.
Okay. It's because I think you and I, it's only you and I. I mean, you and I you're the only person with whom I chat D'Angelo Russell.
Just the two of us?
Right, just the two of us.
Castles in the sky?
Copyright Bill Withers and Grover Washington Jr. Because I know it, okay, if it's a yes, a no, or a maybe, just hit me with that, okay, from your basketball-loving heart.
Okay.
D'Angelo Russell, I know he can score.
Yes.
I know he can penetrate.
From mid-range. I mean, he doesn't get to the basket much.
Okay.
Maybe.
He can beat somebody off the dribble and maybe get 4, 5, 6 assists.
Yes.
Something like that. Okay, he's not, we ain't talking about Artis Gilmore dribbling up by the foul line trying to beat somebody.
Yeah.
He can hit threes.
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
Okay. So we got all that.
Yeah.
Now, my take for the third time with you is when you have that skill set, it should be able to, and the money piece is spent, gone. Wiggins is gone. It's the Mauer bit, man. It's like people bitched about the money piece for so long. The money was spent. Let's, in my opinion.
Yeah, but I don't care about the money so much as the draft pick that might be about to be spent.
But that's not D'Lo's fault.
No, but it's attached to how they acquired D'Lo. It's Rosas's fault.
Right, but it has...
It's not D'Lo's fault that he got the money either.
Right.
Nobody turns down money. If you get offered a maximum contract in any line of work, you say yes.
And I have not watched the young man closely enough from Ohio State, the Nets, the Lakers, just the Warriors, the whole thing.
Yeah.
Okay, I just... In following him from afar, I know at times his scoring can be lethal. His three-point shooting in a three-point league can be lethal.
Absolutely.
He's a 1.5. Okay. His defense always has never been a thing. It's just not a thing. But, I will contend if, like Kyrie Irving, and I've used this with you before, Kyrie Irving is not considered at all to be a good defensive player. However, when the leverage situation is higher and the chips in the table are of the, let's say, black and banana chip as opposed to the blue and the red, Kyrie will lock down Steph if he has to.
Yeah.
Because I've seen it.
Right.
and I really want to believe D'Angelo, if it was a situation where, oh my God, we have to do this with 35 seconds left, I think God has gifted him with a skill set where, if only for 2 times in an entire game, he can potentially stop somebody.
That's what we're asking now at this point.
Okay, let's say 5 times.
Can you get in a defensive stance for twice a game?
And I may be wrong because he's never played in high leverage situations.
Right.
What I'm getting at here.
That's true, and that's an interesting part of a guy's career 5 years in or whatever.
Well, it's the entire Wolves team. I mean, it's really...
But I just mean at every stop he's been in, it's been the lowest of low leverage.
Well, see, like with McDaniels, the excellent pick.
Yeah.
Love him on the team. Really difficult for me to hyperanalyze these players.
Yeah, I agree.
Until the chips in the middle of the table are at least green and black. We're playing for blue chips every freaking night, okay? And if there's a game with a bunch of red chips in the middle, we generally get beat, but all they're getting are $5 chips. So with that said, Clippers game. I mean, how am I going to put this? D'Angelo, with all due respect, if you don't want to play and you're not going to try, then just make yourself inactive. He took 3 shots in that game, fading away from with one leg. It was awful. He didn't care, and he wasn't trying, and it really freaking pissed me off. And I'm not one that's going to jump on Twitter and do that. I just don't do that. So I waited till the techie got in here. And those who watch it more closely than me undoubtedly have seen markedly more of that from D'Angelo than I have. He really, really upset me in that Clippers game with his lack of focus and interest in ball movement. 18 seconds on the shot clock. You got, on a switch, you got Kawhi on you. You ain't going to get by Kawhi. Okay, so pass. Don't try to fade away on your wrong foot and shoot with your right hand. It was just ridiculous, man. And I was thinking to myself, the techie and those of his ilk, if they're watching right now, if there are 25 nails that go in my coffin, D'Angelo just provided 18.
A lot of coffin talk today.
Yeah. And the coffin box, I'm dead. I'm just about dead on the whole thing. Dead to the point where I just don't want to talk about him anymore.
Yeah.
Because it just, but again, it gets to what's with McDaniels. Okay, I really want to analyze McDaniels' defense like Okogie in that Clippers game, man. There were a couple of moments where he got pissed off and it was relatively tight, and he stopped Paul George because he has it in him. Right. McDaniels, has it in him, but I want to see some higher pressure situations to bring the best out of these highly skilled individuals, including D'Angelo Russell, who just, like I said, man, in that Clippers game, he just should have deactivated himself.
I mean, I guess I give him some leeway because he is coming back from an injury, although now it's been several weeks, I guess, since
his first game back from injury, kicked the bleep out of the Sacramento Kings. But again, Sacramento Kings.
Right.
They don't care about defense. The Clippers do.
That's true. Yeah, tonight will be, and they play 2 point guards at the same time, too. So tonight should be interesting if they're playing Fox and Halliburton.
Oh, yeah.
Basically, a 1 and a 1.5.
Halliburton's a 1.5, and that's what, right.
Like you said.
Halliburton's.
But yes, Russell, I mean, he's, like you said, he's clearly skilled. The shooting ability is 90th percentile in the league. But the problem is the shot selection is awful.
Yeah.
He can't get to the basket, so he ends up, settling for, like you described, these, off balance 18-footers or semi-transition threes, which, those can be fine. But also, it's one thing to be a bad defender. I think he lacks the athleticism to be a great defender or even a good defender. But it's another thing to be a bad defender who isn't trying. Because if you're a bad defender who isn't trying, what are they supposed to do with you at that point?
Yeah.
And like you described, Kyrie Irving.
Well, the Wolves' defense right now is embarrassing.
Yes, I mean,
and that includes Cat, who had some good defensive moments. But again, when Cat in that Heat game, okay, when Cat, when they have a motivating reason,
right?
These high-enders, including Dirk Nowitzki and Rasheed Wallace, they're like, no defense, they suck, they suck, they suck. Oh, yeah, except in the conference finals when they got to stop somebody and Dirk's blocking 4 shots. So they all have it in them.
Yes, but I will say that part of the reason they don't have as much high leverage action is because the team stinks for 3 quarters, and then they're out of it by the 4th quarter. You can't get a lot of competitive 4th quarters when guys like Russell don't play well for 3 quarters, and they're hemorrhaging points defensively, well then you're down 25 heading into the fourth. It doesn't really matter what happens in the fourth.
Well, I don't need to be Deanne like you. You called yourself the 9 to noon hype man, or
when I post
Twitter,
the ratings on Twitter.
That's what it was.
Today's the update, by the way. New one's coming out. I'll have
and hype man.
Yeah, I'll have that.
I ain't trying to be the D-Lo hype man.
No, I understand.
It's just I feel people are too far on one side,
sure,
and missing perhaps the forest for the trees of the organic, just natural human emotion nature of certain things. And I'm gonna jump in a little bit. And I got 18 to 25 big fat thick nails in my basketball coffin, and I ain't going down with D'Lo. If I'm gonna get buried with basketball takes, it ain't gonna be with D'Lo.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's not a bad player. I think the criticism, like people hear me talk about him on the radio, and they're like, "Oh, you must just think he's a useless player." He's not a useless player.
He's one of the best 3-point shooters in the NBA,
right?
When the situation's right.
It's just for the role as a number 2 guy on a team, or even a number 3 guy on a team, as a max salary guy, as a guy that you may end up giving up the 4th pick in the draft just to bring in.
Oh my God.
I mean, the expectations are higher. You can't just be a Lou Williams type off the bench.
That better not happen.
I mean, there's over a 50% chance that it happens.
Great. A-Rod, Alex Rodriguez is not sniffing around this team if he doesn't have intel.
You think he's
that they're getting one of those 3 picks?
They've told him that they've got the frozen envelopes back, like they did to get the Patrick Ewing number 1 pick in New York. You think his New York connections have helped him out in that? Let's hope.
I mean, well, it depends. I mean, I know what's happened to the Golden Knights, but truly, will the NBA in Las Vegas be that popular with Cade Cunningham as point guard for Anthony Edwards?
Oh, you think that's going to happen that quick?
You tell me.
I did like the...
if Alex Rodriguez buys the team, does he want to keep it here?
I mean, it sounds like there's at least some written language. I'm just going off what John Krasinski...
For 2 years.
Has reported.
I think it's 2.
But it's interesting to me that people understandably freak out. They're having this discussion that we're having. Are they only buying it to move it? But there isn't anybody in Minnesota that otherwise would buy it that you go, oh, they're definitely keeping it here.
Well, about
anybody
the lads.
I mean, have they ever been linked to it? What about the Wilfs?
Yeah. Wow.
Have they ever been linked to it?
Wow.
It's weird that neither of them have been, right? Not that the Wilfs are lifelong Minnesotans or anything.
What would happen if I cold called Ziggy right now and he picked it up and I asked him that on the radio?
What if you just called him, he answered, you say, hey, Zig, PA, you got like 1.5 bill sitting around? That's what we need.
No, what he would do, he would say, does anybody have a working cell phone number for Terry Stembridge because we want him back? If I cold called the boss on something like that.
Yeah, well, talk him into it. It's not a done deal yet. Talk him into it is strange, though, right, that the 2 owners of the most prominent teams in town have not. I don't think the Pohlads, I can't speak for the Wolves, but I don't think the Pohlads have ever been linked to interest in the Wolves.
Oh, I was just thinking of sports owners with a lot of cash.
Yeah, right. But I'm saying,
well, that'd be great because then we'd look to sign like J.R. Smith and he would need $800,000. They'd only offer $640 and we'd have a problem.
I always.
I mean, how stereotypical cliche was that?
Yeah, it's funny though.
But do you see any future with Jarrett Vanderbilt? Because like when he played with Denver, he didn't play much. So, I knew who he was, but I couldn't figure it out. And, here I can't figure him out. He has some moments where I can see Baby Worm.
Yes.
But he also is an absolute scoring liability.
Right. The
when
weaknesses
he's on the
are very obvious. Like he has a hard time just catching and going up for even when he's open.
He looks like Adrian Peterson trying to catch a swing pass. It's mechanical.
But I think that's an example of kind of what we're talking about with like the lack of high leverage spots or meaningful minutes and stuff, which is like if you stick him on a good team, he could play like 12 minutes a game and be a mini Dennis Rodman off the bench, bring energy. But the problem is on this team, they don't have 9 or 10 better guys than him. And so he's put into situations where he's playing, not starters minutes, although he has part of this year. And then you just start to see the deficiencies. You start to go, okay, yeah, offensively, you're basically playing 4-on-5 and the rebounding's nice and the hustle's nice. But they need to get to a point where like you talked about, they're in some of these games where you can evaluate guys for a full 48 minutes and you can evaluate crunch time situations and all that, which they've not been in at all, basically. And they also need to get to a point where you can just say, is Vanderbilt a decent 9th or 10th guy? Well, for the Wolves, they got 4 good guys. So what's it's hard to just evaluate. And I had hoped coming into the season, I didn't think they were going to make the playoffs or anything, but I had hoped we'd at least be in a position where you could start to evaluate guys for the future.
Yeah.
But I feel like we haven't learned that much more about their future just because this season has just been such a mess overall.
Nordo laid it out nicely during News du Nord. The 3-point hitting barrage on which Steph Curry is.
Yeah.
And he hit 10 last night. Baby Steph and Kurachek, they may be sniffing this. Okay, Golden State in a 7-game series without Clay, without Wiseman, they can beat Phoenix. Okay, Phoenix may be better with analytics and all that. Phoenix has no freaking idea, any of those players, what the Western Conference Finals feels like. And Steph does. So, hey, Phoenix should be favored. Phoenix probably would win. Same with Utah. Okay, so, those are the two teams that are the cat's ass in the West. Maybe baby Steph recognizes LeBron's ankle, and AD's coming back now this week or next week and be playing 15 to 18 minutes. They are one injury to one of those two from having no chance. If they don't get them both and they play at a relatively high level, don't you agree they're not going to win the title? Talking about LA,
yes. And Denver just lost Murray for the season,
right?
Like the Western playoff.
Steph ain't tripping on Phoenix.
Yeah,
Steph ain't tripping on Utah.
I think you're right. I mean, they would definitely be favored, but I can guarantee those teams would rather play the seed above or below whatever Golden State ends up being.
Right.
Because Steph can just win games by himself. I mean, they don't have a good supporting cast, like you said. I mean, Wiggins is one of their main guys. We know how that goes.
Yeah.
I wouldn't count him on in the playoffs, but if Steph just makes 11 threes in a playoff game, you're going to lose that.
Right.
It's a matter of, can he do that 2-3 times in a week-long span or whatever? But, I mean, it's been amazing. I start to think, I don't think he will get this because they're going to end up barely above 500. Mm-hmm. But at one point, do you just say, forget team quality, he's obviously the best player in the NBA right now.
Yeah.
Should he win MVP at some point? I know it goes to a top-seeded guy.
Yeah, I like Jokic.
Yeah, but I mean, okay. Yeah, I mean, he's been great. I'm not saying he hasn't been great.
Yeah.
But I think they're the 4th seed right now.
Steph's running at him.
Is there that much difference between being the 4th seed and the 6th seed at that point?
Scholar, gentleman, Manischewitz, beloved BJ. Next week.
See you next week. Yeah.
Be right.
To the Fan.
I can't wait until tomorrow. 'Cause tomorrow might very well be too late.
And
I can't wait until tomorrow.
No, senor!
'Cause tomorrow could never come. I know it could end.
A couple of minutes to go in the radio show. Final segment in truncated fashion, known as the action segment. The Timberwolves are at Sacramento this evening. The Kings are -3.5. The total is 238.5. Sacramento is 0-3. Its last 3 as a favorite. Minnesota 4-6 versus the number its last 10. Beat Sacramento here on April 5th, 116-106. The Aaron Fox, one of the best in the game. 31 points, 13 of 15 at the line. Somebody put a body on De'Aaron Fox. D'Lo, in his return from injury, went for 25. Once again, the Wolves at Sacramento this evening. Sacramento just snapped an 8-game losing streak by beating Luka. That total of 238.5 if we are low-key looking at 2022.
I want action tonight.
Sacramento's last 8 have had a combined 228, 236, 234, 227, 240, 214, 222 versus the Timberwolves, 257 versus Milwaukee. The common thread here will take place at the end, involving Wolves and Sacramento tonight. That is part of the action.
You guys want to get some action?
Twins are at Oakland. Let's play 2. Shoemaker and Minaya, Barrios and Luzardo. Oakland's 9-7, 5:30 and 8:30 for that double dip. And finally, in the association after baseball,
little baseball action.
Got some baseball action 2 times with the Twins beginning at 5:30.
Little baseball action.
To the association.
You guys want to get some action?
The New York Knicks are hosting the Charlotte Hornets. Tibbs' team has covered 7 of the last 9 games. They're favored by 5.5 at the Garden. The Charlotte squad has been one of the best point spread teams in the NBA all season. At one point was top 3. Has fallen off to like 5 or maybe 6 due to some injuries. Meanwhile, Tibbs' team absolutely rolling right now. But giving 5.5?
I want action tonight.
I mean, 5.5 It's all fun and games until Julius Randle gets in foul trouble. R.J. Barrett goes 2 for his first 17. They play the Quickly kid, and people are like, I thought everybody from Kentucky was supposed to be really good. Then Elfrid Payton kicks 5 off his knee, and Charlotte's up by 7 with 3 minutes to go.
I want action tonight.
And you got to cover that 5.5. Here's the teaching moment involving the NBA. Stay away. And low-key in 2022, you'll recognize that. Is that the NBA, the NHL, MLB, the NFL, college football, college basketball, they're all going to be there tomorrow. If you don't like something, stay away.
You guys want to get some action?
Hell yeah, I want a nickel on the New York Knicks tonight. They've covered 7 of their last 9. Billy G got the cover with Tibbs and the New York Knicks. It's Paul Allen. Talk to you all Thursday. Nordo, wrap on show.
If Devontae Graham doesn't play tonight, just revisit that Knicks and Charlotte game. The Raps, brought to you by Metropolitan Ford, your truck superstore. Man, this draft thing stresses me to my bones. I escaped briefly by ripping the Niners and Mac Jones. Shanahan on a limb, man. He doesn't have the stones like white-knuckle parallel parking without those orange cones. I'm spending half the morning staring at the ceiling tiles, remembering 2-for-1 burners at Liquor Lyles. The thoughts in my head currently disorganized piles. I'm that rat on the wheel. I've been running for miles. And in a world that yearns to be first, we try to be right. Our batting average is good, but maybe we might just screw this whole thing up, and we can't see it clearly. To Quiddy pay, we needed Darisaw quite dearly. But I merely just hope the team hits a dinger. So out of shape, shoulder to door and got a stinger. I try to jog sometimes like I'm stuck in quicksand, horrified whenever PA wears that stupid-ass headband.
In your face, Milwaukee. And the silence you hear is Lambeau Field.
I love it, baby. Woo! Hold on to your butt.
Hashtag Faith Radio. 9 to noon.
Personal foul.
PA. Good stuff.
The game is over.
Time for 2 more.
Just listen.
If it's good news or money, leave a message.
Podcast today's Paul Allen Show, or listen back to previous show and interviews by going to the iHeartRadio app or KS.
For the ones who get going when the going gets tough, and the ones who know we're tougher together. For the Pathfinders breaking new ground, Grainger offers supplies and solutions for every industry, as well as fast access to experts and 24/7 customer support. Because we know you have people depending on you, so you can always depend on us. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.